Morning everyone, it is Thursday the 12th of December 2024 and I want to bring something up that's very controversial. Some friends of mine are very involved in what I'm about to talk about, and it's hard because I used to be involved in it as well, and then I realized what was really going on. And as much as I love horse sports, there needs to be a major overhaul and cancellation of all animal sports, and I'll tell you why. Back in 1997, I took on a job riding racehorses. And I took on this job riding racehorses at Randwick Racecourse in Sydney to pay for my horses. I stabled my horses in a small stable outside Canterbury Racecourse. I was eventing and show jumping, travelling around interstate, competing at the highest levels with a team of 8-9 horses. At 17, I'd won multiple championships at national, state level. And my horses were everything to me, everything. When I took on this job riding racehorses, it was just in the mornings from 4 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. just literally jumping from one horse to another, and then finishing work and going out and riding my horses all day. I would ride 25 horses a day, 6 days a week, all for the love of the horse, all for the love of riding, for the connection. And then one day the manager of this stable asked me to stay back if I could for an hour and a half. The vet was coming to perform a procedure on a horse that was racing in a Group 1 the following week. I said, sure, no problem. I rode this horse every day for 3 months, 4 months, something like that. I had a great connection with the horse. Loved him to bits, a beautiful horse. The vet came and sedated the horse, as they usually do. Horses are dangerous, especially when they're scared, stressed. And then the vet made an incision just near the jugular vein on the neck. And I said, what are you doing? We're bleeding it. I said, so what? We're bleeding it. I said, what does that mean? And he said, we're going to drain 3 to 4 litres of blood. Why? This horse is racing next week in a Group 1. Why would you do that? And he said, because when you drain a significant amount of blood, the body creates new red blood cells, which gives the horse more stamina, more oxygenated blood, so the horse can last longer and run faster. And my mind went, this is not right. This is not right. I stayed on a little while longer at that stable. We had several horses that had tendon and ligament injuries. All the trainer kept saying is keep working them, because the owners were rich. Keep working them. I left that stable and I went to another one. Very, very prominent, very well known and respected trainer in Sydney, Australia, actually one of the supposedly best trainers in the country. Still is. Who had hundreds of horses coming through her stable. Massive stable, massive, hundreds of horses. And I was there for the love of the horses, just to exercise them. I was always given the horses that were difficult, that nobody else could ride. Everyone had really heavy hands and didn't really give a crap. This one 3-year-old filly broken in, came to the track, did one preparation, went back out for a spell, came back in, was fit enough to have a gallop. She had one gallop and showed good promise. Then for the next few days, she showed no sign of lameness. But I felt something was off, and I told the trainer. I said, something's wrong. She's not okay. They got the vet to have a look at her, and I was holding her for the vet. The vet said, no, there's nothing wrong, keep going. Next day, I said, there's something wrong with her. Seriously wrong. Seriously wrong. No, the vet said she's fine, keep going. They galloped her again. She pulled up. I felt something in one of her legs. I jumped off and I said, this horse is about to break down. She's about to break her leg or something. I know it, I can feel it, I can sense it. I went straight to the vet. I bypassed the trainer, the managers, the foremans, and I went straight to the vet. And I said, you need to look at this horse and you need to look at her now. The vet said, Kerry, her owner paid $1 million for this horse and has multiple $1 million horses with this trainer. Whatever you think is going on with the horse, that horse must make it to the track. Ignore it and keep on working her. Keep galloping her. The very next day, that horse couldn't put any weight on her leg. Half an hour later, she was on a truck to the breeding paddock. Within an hour, her stable was already full with another 2-year-old. For this trainer, I rode multiple horses, 2-year-olds and yearlings, while galloping and doing track work, broke their legs. That's how my body's so smashed up. They tore their tendons. I had one for this particular trainer, a multi-million-dollar 2-year-old colt that showed signs of stress at the breakers when he was being broken in, showed signs of stress. They kept on going. He came to the track. He was there for a month, still showing signs of stress, immaturity, weakness, physical weakness. No one took any notice. No one saw that he was struggling. One morning, I got on him to take him to the track, and as we were going down the tunnel to go to the centre of the track, he lost it. He reared up, got his front legs caught in the fence, panicked, freed himself, and then galloped headfirst into a concrete wall with me on him. He fractured his skull and suffered permanent brain damage. Went to the breeding barn, and they had to put him down because of the brain damage. Farlap, incredible, phenomenal racehorse in Australia, was poisoned because of man's greed, killed because of man's greed. Ruffian ran until she broke. Makybe Diva bred until she couldn't do it anymore. There's so many prominent horses in the racing industry worldwide that have terrible endings. Some have good endings. Some don't even make it to the track. When you take a baby out of the paddock away from its mum, throw it in a stable, put a rider on it, and race it around a track before they are even physically mature to handle such stress. Mentally, these horses are toddlers, literally toddlers. When you take a toddler and put them in a stressful environment where they physically and mentally cannot cope, you are destroying the life of that animal. Why? For man's greed. I was galloping a horse down the main straight of Randwick Racecourse one morning. Again, a Group 2 winner. As we were galloping alongside another horse, a Group 1 winner. The horse I was on broke its leg in 3 places. We were galloping over 60 k's an hour. That horse rolled 9 times. Spinal injury, head injury. Broke another leg. Put down on the track, then and there. 6 a.m. Horse hadn't even had breakfast. Another one, Warwick Farm Racecourse. I was on a 3-year-old, just walking around the track, on the inside, just warming up, just casual, beautiful morning like it is today. As I was getting ready to go on the track, there was a horse standing next to the entrance to the track, and everyone just passing it, taking no notice. I looked closer at this horse, and from the knee down, you could see the bone completely shattered, breaking through the skin. It was just dangling, flopping around. The horse was just standing there. These are just a couple of stories of what so many thousands of horses go through every single day. Every single day. For what? Our greed? Our entertainment? I've taken horses to the races, and I thought, this is before I knew what really went on. And the horses come back. Doesn't matter whether they're a first-time runner or a Group 1. The horses come back. You hose them off. They are stressed beyond imagination. You hose them off, you calm them down, wait for the adrenaline to settle, and then it happens. The welt marks from the whip, from the jockey bashing the whip into the rump of the horse. 1-2 inches high, bleeding, the whole hindquarter swollen. The lactic acid in the muscles, making it hard for the horse to actually walk. for days. Sometimes those horses can barely move because of the welt marks, because of the stress of the race, the physical and mental stress. I spent 2.5 years in the racing industry. That was enough to turn me well and truly against humans and what we do. I've spent 40 years in the equestrian industry, show jumping, eventing. Why I do it? I love the feel of the connection. To work with an animal so majestic and so heart-centered. Is just pure joy. To go out and compete is not for ribbons, it's not for the wins. It's the enjoyment of the connection that you and your horse have together. It's just fun. I used to compete at international level for years in show jumping and eventing at the very highest level. Since I retired 10 years ago, and I've had more time to spend with each of my horses instead of saddle up, get on, train, get off, put them away. Since I've had time to really get that connection and become more consciously aware and aware of my conscious self, I've come to realize that when we train horses, animals, doesn't matter what animal they are, when we train them, we can't teach a horse to do anything that they can't already do. We're just asking them to do it when we ask them to. Some of them like it, some of them don't. My 25-year-old mare hates being ridden. She doesn't like being ridden, so we stopped. My 30-year-old loved competing at a high level. You can tell in their behavior, in their personality. You can tell whether they like it or not, in that feeling. If you're open to listening, they will tell you everything. Bullfighting. There's a whole nother story. Imagine the fear of being running down by a bull and being gored in the stomach. To train them, they put blindfolds on the horses so they can't see them coming. They put earplugs in their ears so they can't hear the bull screaming. All for our entertainment, all for our profit, our gain. Imagine being the bull. New Zealand made a bold move just the other day, and one that I cannot applaud more: banning greyhound racing. Queensland, Australia is following suit. If we truly are to move forward as a species, if we truly are to become more conscious, I hate to say it, but all animal sports need to be banned worldwide, no matter what they are. We can no longer use animals for our entertainment and sport and greed and wealth. When I was learning show jumping when I was young, I think I was 12 years old, I kept my horses at this Olympic rider's place. I had 2 horses. They're beautiful. One of them was my best friend. As Mum was fixing the jumps for me, I was jumping 80 centimetres, something like that. As Mum was putting one of the poles down, because it was quite high, there were all these nails that had been hammered into the top of the pole. I was like, what? Why would you have a pole with nails sticking out at the top of the pole? What if the horse hits it? I was confused, Mum was confused. We just put the pole under the tree on the side of the arena and thought about, like, why would a pole like that even exist? We soon found out. When the horse hits the nails, it hurts. So the horse is terrified of touching the pole. Later on, I learned that 90% of Olympic riders do the same thing to get their horses to jump higher. Not because the horse wants to or can, but out of fear. Fear of being harmed. Another stable I turned up to have a riding lesson. And they had a long whip. And they were giving a lesson to this other young rider. And every time the horse took off to jump the jump, there was one person on either side with these long whips. And one person would whip the front legs, the other person would whip the back legs. So every time the horse jumped, it would jump so much higher because it thinks it's going to be whipped. If the horse stopped, the bashing that the horse got lasted 4 to 5 minutes, just constantly whipping from the rider and the ground crew. There is abuse in every level of horse sports, no matter what the sport is. Showing, just leading your horse, there's abuse. I remember I was at Sydney Royal Easter show jumping, and in a couple of stables down were some show horses, and there was the police, there was show organisers, there was everybody there. I'm like, what is going on? Another show rider during the night had cut the tail and shaved the tail off the show horse so the horse couldn't win. It's like, what? Let's shave the entire tail off so they can't win a ribbon and prize money of $25. That's right. A ribbon and $25 was the prize. Are you kidding me? The last 12 months, especially, I've been looking at the William Inglis Thoroughbred sales here in Australia. It's an online sale. They have them twice a month. And I write down every horse that has something wrong with it. For when notifications come, I can rescue them, get them out of that situation. They have what's called a bleeder, which is bleeding from a horse, bleeding from the nostrils, which the blood comes from the lungs, due to the stress placed on the lungs when racing. That's how much horses try. They actually burst blood vessels in their lungs. Tendon injuries, ligament injuries, bone chips, you name it. Horses barred from racing because they won't go in the barriers due to stress. There's one I've got my eye on at the moment, and I can afford to buy her, but I have nowhere to keep her. Fractured pelvis. She raced 23 times after fracturing her pelvis. Colic surgery, and now she has an injured tendon, as if the fractured pelvis wasn't enough. So many horses don't even make it to the racetrack. One of the trainers, for every horse, for all trainers, almost all trainers, for every horse that makes the racetrack, there's another 10 that don't. And out of that 10, more than likely 5 to 6 of them break down, which is why they don't make the racetrack. Now, people will say racehorses are treated like royalty. They're treated like gods. They're so well taken care of. If that were the case, why do so many horses end up in slaughter when they finish racing? Why do so many not even make the track due to injury? Why do so many have to be put down because of their mental stress? They just can't handle it. If they are so well taken care of, why do so many horses die every year from the racetrack? What I have shared today is not even 1% of what I can tell you from being involved in racing here in Australia. One of my main humanitarian projects is to rescue as many racehorses as I can from the racetrack and the breeding barn. There's a 19-year-old mare that's had 9 foals and pregnant again. 9 foals and pregnant again. Pregnant 3 weeks after just giving birth. 3 weeks after giving birth, they serve that mare again. She's 19. I will do everything I can to try and stop horse racing. Everything. Even if I have to buy property all over the world and buy every single racehorse that comes onto the market. So there aren't enough horses to raise. I'll do everything I can to stop the torture and abuse of these animals, of all animals, for our greed, our pleasure. Humans are one sick, twisted, demented species. How we can torture the most incredible animal alive for our own pleasure. Sick. What you're about to see is some images of what I personally have experienced, just to give you some perspective, in case you're still thinking racehorses are treated like royalty. There are some good trainers, of course. But animal sports on the whole, never good. There's not one animal sport I can think of or have researched that I could honestly say is okay. Not one. Even showing chickens, there is abuse. Showing guinea pigs, there is abuse. Dog shows, there's abuse. Cat shows, there's abuse. Even bird shows, there is abuse. Every animal sport, on some level, is abusive. If we want to make change, we have to put an end to the abuse of animals for our entertainment and greed. And we can start by not supporting animal competitions or shows or races. No betting, no going to the races to have a good day out with the ladies or the gents. Not even watching them. We must take a stand against this kind of thing. Otherwise, we're no better than the people who do it for greed and for their own amusement. Have a beautiful day. Just to clarify, the latest Australian super racehorse to pass away at the hands of humans was Black Caviar, not Makybe Diva. Makybe Diva is still having foals. Still.